Fans of the Super Gremlin rapper may have to say goodbye to him for a long while. Ever since Kodak Black went mainstream, he has had constant run-ins with the law. This time, Kodak decided to start his year 2022 behind bars, and the situation isn't looking great. Keep watching to see everything about Kodak Black's sentencing. Kodak Black arrested. While you were sharing the new year with your family or sharing a kiss on a rooftop, your favorite rapper Kodak Black was busy getting his behind arrested. He was arrested on a trespassing charge in his hometown of Pompano Beach, South Florida. It's safe to say he felt a little at home. According to the Broward County Sheriff's Office, Black was taken into custody in his hometown of Pompano Beach early on Saturday morning, and his attorney claimed it was all a big misunderstanding. Kodak Black's lawyer, Bradford Cohen, said in an interview that his client was indeed arrested early Saturday morning near Pompano Beach, Florida, on a misdemeanor trespassing charge. However, he insisted that it was just a bogus bust that was caused by nothing but a cease or desist letter from 4 months ago. Cohen revealed that Kodak had gone to his old neighborhood of Green Acres to hang out with some of his friends for the holiday and to also pay off credit card debt for 5 families living in the area who'd shell out for Christmas gifts for their kids and loved ones.
Enough to give back, that's what I like to do. Stuff like that. So we out here, we passing out AC units, you know what I'm saying, helping install them and all that right now.
While he was in the neighborhood, the cops showed up out of the blue and took Kodak into custody on the grounds that he was in violation of a letter issued by the local housing authority. According to Cohen, Kodak received the letter in response to Kodak delivering AC units to the people there in September 2021, and the housing authorities in the area apparently didn't appreciate it. Anyway, it seems Kodak's mere presence this time around triggered a call to the Broward County Sheriff's Office. Kodak's lawyer, however, believes that the arrest was unwarranted, and here's why. For starters, he says the cease and desist letter never made its way to Kodak, meaning it wasn't served properly and that it was sent to his record label and not him personally. Second, he says that the letter says nothing about not coming onto the grounds, so it shouldn't have served as the basis of any arrest. There isn't much about the consequences for this arrest out there, as the story is still developing. Kodak was eventually released on a $25 bond a couple of hours later. Unclear if this will have any bearing on Kodak's supervised release. Kodak Black previous arrests. Anyone who knows Kodak Black knows that he is no stranger to getting in trouble. The man has been in and out of trouble with the authorities more than you can count. But if you don't know, here's a rundown of his arrest records. Spoilers, it's long enough to keep him locked up for a long time. The first time Kodak drove in the back of a police car with cuffs on his wrists was in 2015 when he was 18 years old. At 18 years old, Kodak Black was beginning to make waves in the Florida hip-hop world after his breakout hit, Skirt, debuting on Drake's OVO Beats one radio station. Shortly after his breakout was when he faced his first arrest in the spotlight. He was arrested for assault, robbery, kidnapping, false imprisonment, driving with a suspended license, and possession of after being accused of forcing several people into his car because he suspected someone broke into his Broward County home. He was released on bond shortly after his arrest. Barely 2 months after his first arrest, he stopped by in jail after he was arrested for possession. He was charged with drug possession in addition to more severe crimes. Kodak was arrested in St. Lucie County for possession of less than 2 pounds. He also was charged for having drug paraphernalia on him. 2016 arrests. Fast forward to February 2016, Kodak was already making a name for himself in the industry, and he started performing major shows. After a performance in South Carolina, Kodak Black allegedly assaulted a young woman right there in Florence, South Carolina. According to reports, the woman accompanied him to his hotel room after his show at the nightclub Treasure City. Soon after entering the room, she said, the rapper ripped off her clothes, bit her, and raped her. He was charged with criminal sexual misconduct. In April of 2016, shortly after the Florence incident, Kodak was allegedly seen buying from a drug dealer before driving away in his vehicle. When the cops tried to pull him over, he attempted to evade arrest and he threw a gun from his car, as reported by the police. After recovering a loaded .40 caliber Glock 23 pistol, they arrested Kodak for possessing a weapon by a convicted felon, possession of and a number of traffic violations. He once again got out on bond, but it didn't take a while before he took another trip in a cop car. A month later, in May of 2016, Kodak was arrested again in Broward County, this time in connection with the open warrants related to the previous charges of false imprisonment and armed robbery. While he was in jail for this arrest, outstanding warrants for the criminal sexual misconduct case in Florence and the marijuana possession charge from December 2015 were brought to light.
In the rap world, he's known as Kodak Black, but in Broward Court, he's known as his legal name, Desan Octave. The 19-year-old rapper had been jailed for 3 months awaiting trial today, taking a plea deal after members of his record company came to his rescue.
Kodak spent 3 months in jail until August when he was sentenced to 1 year of house arrest and 5 years of probation. He was also reportedly ordered to complete community service, anger management, and community control supervision programs. However, before he could be placed on house arrest, the open warrants for the St. Lucie County drug possession arrest halted his release. In addition to the warrant, his charge of criminal sexual misconduct in the Florence case was charged to sexual battery, which carries a penalty of up to 30 years in prison. A month later, in September, he pleaded no contest to the St. Lucie possession case and was sentenced to 120 days in prison. However, Kodak Black was released from a St. Lucie County jail in November of 2016 and extradited to South Carolina to face the sexual battery charge. In December, Kodak was freed from a South Carolina jail after posting a $100,000 bond for the sexual battery charge. 2017 arrests. 2016 was a pretty long year for Kodak and his run-ins with the authorities, but 2017 came knocking and it wasn't quite nice on him either. By February of 2017, he found himself yet again entangled in another court case. After appearing in court in Broward, Kodak was arrested for violating the terms of his house arrest related to the charges of false imprisonment in May 2016. The decision to take him into custody was supported by his alleged assault of a bartender at Club Climax in Miami earlier in February 2017. Charges weren't formally filed against him, but the woman identified Kodak as the man who punched and kicked her at the club, and the police incident report was presented in court.
Black has been behind bars since February and could now face up to 8 more years in prison. He's expected to be sentenced sometime next week.
Between April 21st and May 4th, Kodak was swamped in a number of legal issues. On April 21st, he was accused of grabbing his anger management counselor by the arm after she threatened to call 911 when he refused to leave a session. She reportedly asked him to leave because he was intentionally disrupting the session by burping repeatedly. 5 days later, on April 26th, he was found guilty on 5 counts of violating his house arrest. On May 4th, he was sentenced to 364 days in prison and the possibility of early release if he completed a life skills course. He successfully finished the course and was released in June after serving 97 days. 2018 arrests. Kodak was able to stay out of trouble to the end of 2017, but did you think Kodak's problems with the law ended after the life skills course? Well, no it didn't, and things got even more drastic for Kodak. In January 2018, while Kodak Black was on an Instagram live stream, the police were alerted of the activities going on in the live video. The video showed the rapper in his Broward home surrounded by drugs and weapons with his child nearby. He was arrested for grand theft of a firearm, 2 charges of possession of a weapon or ammo by a Florida delinquent adult felon, possession of cannabis over 20 grams, child neglect without great bodily harm, and 2 counts of parole violation. However, in less than a month, his lawyers were able to get the charges of grand theft, child neglect, and possession of a weapon by a felon dropped, but he still had pending trials. At his trial in April of 2018, Kodak Black entered a plea of not guilty and was again sentenced to 364 days in prison for the remaining charges stemming from his January arrest. He got credit for 90 days of time served in jail while awaiting trial, so he was released in August of that year. Kodak's time in prison in 2018 was a life awakening period for him. During his imprisonment, he earned a GED, changed his legal name to Bill K. Capri, and even tweeted about writing a book. 2019 arrests. Shortly after his release, it was revealed he was also let off probation, truly cementing his freedom. For a while, things quieted down for Kodak as he continued to release hit songs and collaborate with exciting artists. However, things went south for Kodak in the spring of 2019. In April of 2019, Kodak was supposed to face trial on his sexual battery case in South Carolina, but the case was postponed. That month, he was arrested in New York, and less than a month later, he was arrested again in Miami. In April, Kodak Black and 3 others were apprehended by U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents while trying to cross into Canada from New York. He was found with a Glock 9mm pistol and and was taken to the Niagara County Jail. He paid the $20,000 to $40,000 bond and then walked out of the jail with a fan of cash covering his face. Then, less than a month later, he was arrested for weapons possession in Miami. Just before he was set to take the stage at the hip-hop music festival Rolling Loud, he was apprehended by U.S. Marshals for state and federal firearms violations following what he described as an extensive investigation. During that time, he put up his $600,000 Broward home as collateral for his $500,000 bail, but prosecutors argued that he remained in jail as he was a threat to society. Kodak Black's major imprisonment. Young people do stupid things, but the problem is that you've been doing stupid things since you were 15. Now, these were the very words U.S. District Court Judge Federico Moreno said to Kodak Black shortly before sentencing him to 3 years and 10 months imprisonment. The judge sentenced Kodak for lying about his record while purchasing or trying to purchase 6 pistols on 2 separate occasions at Louis Police and Security Equipment in Hialeah. One of the guns later was found at the site of Pompano Beach shooting in March of 2016. Here's how it went down. Black purchased that weapon, a SIG MP XK9 automatic pistol, and 2 others at the Hialeah gun shop on February 1st. While buying the guns, he wrote down an incorrect social security number and marked no on the sections of a federal form that asked if he was eligible to buy a gun. At the time he purchased the gun, he was already under indictment and out of bond for the South Carolina sexual assault case. So he would not have been allowed to buy the weapons had he been truthful on the form. He, however, made matters worse when he returned to the gun store a month later and tried to buy 3 more weapons. This time, he put in his correct social security number, but still stated that he was eligible to purchase the guns on the required federal form. Before his sentence was handed down, Kodak accepted responsibility for his crimes. "I'm sorry for the actions that led me for where I'm standing," said the artist, who grew up in Pompano's Beach Golden Acres housing development. "I do take full responsibility for my mishap." Before his sentence was passed, prosecutors revealed that Kodak got involved in a nasty prison fight. Capri displayed disruptive behavior, said Assistant U.S. Attorney Bruce Brown. He was involved in a fight on October 29th with another inmate. A corrections officer stepped in, spraying mace on both inmates. The prosecutors claimed that Kodak was visibly under the influence of an unknown substance when he viciously assaulted the officer who intervened, beating the officer in the face and groin so badly that the guard ended up in the hospital with a hernia. The prosecution raised this during his sentencing with the aim of instigating more time in prison for Kodak. However, his lawyers disputed the facts, suggesting that he was drugged and tricked into the altercation by a gang member. The judge ultimately decided that the violent dispute couldn't be factored into the sentence Kodak was to be given. Kodak Black release. Luckily for Kodak Black, he had his sentence commuted by Donald Trump on his last day in office in 2020. The White House praised his philanthropic work. Black is a prominent artist and community leader, officials noted. He has committed to supporting a variety of charitable efforts, such as providing educational resources to students and families of fallen law enforcement officers and the underprivileged. He has also paid for the notebooks of school children, provided funding and supplies to daycare centers, provided for the hungry, and annually provides for underprivileged children during Christmas. And while behind bars, he gave $50,000 to COVID-hit small businesses in his Florida hometown. The campaign for his freedom has the backing of religious leaders, including Ohio pastor and former Trump advisor Daryl Scott and Rabbi Schneur Kaplan, as well as former New York Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik, who was himself pardoned by Donald Trump in 2019.